All right, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, former East Carolina head basketball coach Mack McCarthy. Coach Mack, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. Hope you are.
Doing well, doing well. Coming off a Masters weekend, we got baseball going on, basketball playoffs about to start in the NBA, but there's college football and money issues to talk about. So let's start there. I mean,
You
I think
think? You think?
from all of our discussions we have, I think the most pressing topic going on right now in sports is the Nico issue at Tennessee. I guess no longer at Tennessee. So he apparently wants a pay raise for
Yeah.
his duties at quarterback at Tennessee, and it was holding out and not showing up to practice. And Tennessee said, you know what, we're not going to pay you anymore, so you can find another spot. And I don't know, I see people applauding this, like, yeah, way to take a stand. And Tennessee's still out there paying guys millions, and the reason they are doing this is they can find another great quarterback. And let's face it, Nico wasn't great once they faced stiff competition last year. Had a really good defense and was okay, but kind of tore up the lesser teams. But Mac, like, will this have any ripple effects on college football? Like, is this a big deal that a team is standing up to a player, or what's your take on the whole thing?
I think it's a fairly big deal. I'm not sure about the ripple effects. It gives some folks cover. Should someone else want to draw the line in the sand with a young man or young lady, it does give them cover to do that because this is wildly popular, among obviously Tennessee fans, but even college athletics fans in general. Let's draw that line in the sand. Let's hold them accountable. And clearly he misplayed his hand, or his handlers did, because he didn't have a very good year. He wasn't very productive. He was already making over $2 million a year, wanted $4 million a year, and of course we're also hearing only one side of this thing so far. There
Yeah.
may be another side that delivers some other issues that we may not know about. But on the surface, I think it does, and I think it also points to the fact that there have to be guardrails, there have to be rules in place, and we haven't been operating with any. And it's really strange. This is one of the cases that went to court because the attorney general in Tennessee kind of sued the NCAA, saying, you can't, your rules are unenforceable when it comes to NIL. We can go ahead and just pay a player for signing, and they won. So this was kind of a precedent setting thing, and then ironically, to have it turn around and blow up in their faces, is kind of ironic also.
Mac, we saw last year where it was at UNLV. Apparently, payments were not made, NIL payments were not made, and a
Yeah.
quarterback walked during the season. So when we see Nico holding out of spring ball, it made me think, all right, what's going to happen when a guy holds out in fall camp and
Yeah.
wants more money before the season starts, or holds out week 4 going into conference play because he had a good non-conference. We're gonna see more and more of this, right? Like I don't think we see any less of this. Like missed payments or just a guy thinking he should get paid more. It's gonna creep into, I think, the regular season.
Well, one of the things that's come out in the Tennessee situation was that this actually happened with him and others prior to their playoff game at Ohio State last year. Now, they haven't said what happened. Did they pay him more? Did they give him a bonus for being in the playoffs? They haven't said what they did last year when this came up, that they wanted to be paid more before they got in the playoffs. And of course, Saban has kind of insinuated multiple times that this happened on their trip to the Rose Bowl, not long before he ended up retiring, whatever that word means, but stepping away from the game. So it's already been happening behind the scenes. But again, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to have contracts? And a lot of schools do have contracts now. How enforceable they are, I don't know. but I think this is another step towards having a contract that bites both ways.
Mack McCarthy joining us. People listening to this are disgusted, and yeah, I am too, folks. But it is the ugly side of the sport that we love. Maybe not as much as we once did, but I can't wait for more college football Saturdays. I'm looking forward to it. Mac, you said Nico was making $2 million. Wanted to double that. What is the? Do you know the going rate for a top 15, top 20 quarterback in college football today?
I imagine that's probably it. I think there are probably people making more than three, but at the time he signed basically an $8 million deal, and that was a 4 year situation. So he was right at the $2 million mark, but I'm sure it included some bonuses and upgrades and all that kind of thing. But again, I can't imagine anybody left on the suitor list. First of all, it's going to be a PR nightmare. He's a pariah.
Yeah,
He is persona non grata in college football right now. But that doesn't mean somebody out there doesn't need a quarterback and would be willing to pay him. Are
yeah.
they going to pay him what he asked, or are they going to pay him even what he made at Tennessee? I doubt it. I doubt it. I think he's getting ready to take a haircut in that category.
Mac McCarthy joining us today on a Pirate Radio Live. Well, he thought it was like the NFL, where yeah, you're on your rookie deal, but then you got to renegotiate after that, and that 4 year $8 million's nothing after a year or two. Mac, you got to go back to the table, right?
Yeah, it reminds me of your negotiations with Jonathan.
You know, the plateau is a good word I would use for that. Coach Mac, how about in the college ranks? And I did not read much into this, but saw like Con Knipple offered a lot of money to leave and things like that. Like we see stories about this in football and basketball. We talked to ECU players, former players, about how they had been contacted and things like that. So again, there I guess the guardrails, right? There are none. So folks can go out there, and I guess the main reason schools don't turn in other schools is because they don't want people looking at what they're doing. Am I right on that?
That's always been the case. Yeah, you don't ever want to incur the NCAA because they literally can find something on everybody. It doesn't
Yeah. Yep.
matter how clean your program is.
Yeah. They got ECU baseball when Billy Godwin was here because of some kind of housing thing. It was like the smallest, dumbest thing ever. And we're
Yeah.
like, really, this is what you're looking at? But yeah, you can get something on anybody, I guess, if you look hard enough. Coach Mack joining us with college hoops in the books, college football in the books. Looking forward to talking, I guess, roster overturn with Mac McCarthy this college football off season, because is it going to be obviously, Mac? It'll be another busy quarterback portal, right? Teams switching QBs.
Yeah, I understand the young man at South Alabama has put his name in the portal. The fact that that it opens up here in a little bit for football after a lot of spring practices are over, and the pecking order has come down. And are you the first? Are you the backup? If there's a 3 man race, are you that third guy? And you think you could go somewhere and start? There's going to be some more movement for sure. And goodness gracious, I hate to think about it, but with all the magazines out there and all the preseason, prognostication going on, but it may be August before we actually know rosters.
How about this, Mac? You're going to see less East Carolina football practice highlights from Pirate Radio, from other entities that cover it, from the main ECU channel, because a school in state saw a highlight of a kid and apparently is going after him. So we're doing the work for some of these other schools by posting highlights, and now we're going to be posting less highlights that come out of spring ball because of that, and that stinks.
Yeah, you're just doing your job, and unfortunately, it doesn't align with with what East Carolina is trying to do, or whatever local situation you want to talk about. But coaches have been leaning toward this for a while, allowing less and less access. But now you actually have a legitimate reason to deny access,
Yeah.
at least in the minds of the coaches.
Mac, what'd you think of Masters
Oh,
Sunday?
I absolutely loved it. I'm telling you, if you were due a stress test with your cardiologist, just tell him you watched the whole Masters on Sunday, and you'll pass with flying colors. Because if you didn't get excited and go through the highs and lows, then you weren't paying attention. That was as much fun, 5 or 6 hours as I've had in a long time. I thought it was absolutely breathtaking every step of the way. The good play, the bad play, and the people that were involved, and the comers and the goers. It was over. It was, it's not quite over. Somebody else is going to win, and for it to win in the end with McElroy winning and becoming one of the Grand Slam guys with all four major titles, despite what he went through. I loved every minute of it.
Reminded me somewhat of last Monday night's championship game in basketball because it was not the prettiest of games. We had a lot of turnovers, a lot of ugly, a lot of bricks, but a good finish. And it kind of the same thing there Sunday at Augusta. Rory, blew the lead, got it back, blew it again. It was crazy to watch.
It was, and somebody posted some numbers. In golf, and it's sort of like baseball. You can study numbers all you want, but the best ball. If you took Rose and McElroy and took their best score on every hole, they shot 59. Pretty impressive. If you took their worst score on every hole, they shot an 80. Which tells you all about how variant their
Yeah.
rounds of golf were just individually.
Kids, consistency is overrated.
Apparently, I don't know about overrated, but certainly unneeded in this situation.
Consistency unneeded. There's a T-shirt. Mac McCarthy joining us. Mac, by the time we talk to you next week, the Stanley Cup playoffs and NBA playoffs will be underway in earnest. And how much of that will you have watched between now and the next time we talk?
Probably the same amount I watched this last week of those two things.
Zero.
Zero.
All right. Next week's the NFL draft. What are you watching more of? NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, NBA draft.
None of them are college sports. I might pay attention to the NBA, NFL draft just because NFL, right? Might
Yeah.
pay attention to the NFL draft because it's college sports related, but it'll have to be deeper into playoffs before I watch any of the NBA and the hockey thing. I can't tell you who won it last year, so I apologize to all the hockey enthusiasts out there.
I guess you watched more NBA when you were young, probably
Yeah,
because you were a basketball fan, but
yeah.
also when you had players, and you had relationships with guys in the NBA. You probably don't have many of those anymore. I would imagine.
Well, just like Major League Baseball, I literally could name the starting lineup of every single team. Some teams I could name the entire roster growing up, but now I told Gene last night we were watching the highlights of some baseball, and I don't know how many players in Major League Baseball I could name today. I really don't know. It's not dozens.
Right. I mean, outside of the Braves, I'm not doing too much of that. I know the stars, but yeah, they're getting fewer and fewer in my brain. Coach Mack, we got a couple of jersey retirements going on in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Makes no sense.
Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter are going to have their numbers retired.
Yeah, it makes no sense whatsoever. There have been buffaloes from ages past that won much more and did much more significant things than these two guys. Uh, you know, um, it. It's all about what have you done in the last 48 hours, I guess.
It is kind of crazy because Dion is not going to be there long, and he's going to move on, and his his kid will be there forever unless somebody decides to take it down. Jarrett, do you want to say something?
Well, yeah, just the funny thing is they're doing it at the spring game. They're not even waiting for like a home game during the season.
This is the quickest jersey retirement of all time. Like, I love honoring people and not waiting forever, but this is a little bit too much on the other side of the spectrum.
But what about? I mean, what about having some standards? All American.
Hey, well,
Maybe graduate for a thing. Maybe actually win some games. Let's
how about
have
a
some kind
Heisman
of
Trophy?
standards.
I mean, Travis Hunter
Yeah, he
has some
did. He
hardware.
did. But he hasn't been there long enough. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem right to me. And maybe I'm just the get off your lawn guy.
Yeah, and Max usually open to some change, but yeah, not a fan of that. I do like the idea of a jersey retirement, like and Rajay Harris. There's been better running backs at East Carolina. There's been more. I don't want to say important, but guys that won big at ECU. But like 47 will always be synonymous with Rajay. I don't want to see another guy wearing 47.
Yeah, I saw somebody wearing 47 at practice, and I
Oh,
was like,
get
nope.
it off at least for a year or two. So I like the idea of a jersey retirement, Mac, but I don't know about Shadur.
So I think the recentism, is a problem. And some of the standards that you have to have graduated or you have to have been out of school 10 years. There are reasons for those rules haven't been in place. And are the rules themselves antiquated? Maybe, but there was also good reasons for them when they were put in my opinion.
I hear you. I don't like waiting to build a statue after somebody dies. I'd like for that person to see their statue. So, and then I don't understand why we can't just put Tom Brady in the Hall of Fame this year. What are we waiting for? Like,
Because there are standards.
yeah, because y'all old folks and your rules.
Yeah, old folks, we're the worst. We are the
Yeah,
worst. Yeah,
us
I agree.
us hippies out here just trying to live life, man.
Man,
Man. All right, J Bone. Let's talk a little NASCAR. My lead has dwindled. Not over Mac. My lead over Mac's fine, but
Yeah.
Jarrett has called me.
Yeah,
What you got?
Kyle Larson winning this week, and I had the best average, and you had a DNF. So,
What do we got? What are the numbers?
you have 16 points, I have 14, and Max still in the negatives, -1.
right. All right. I mean, but I'm not getting any credit for telling Clip who to take either, though.
Yes, you are. I give you credit every week. Now I'll say this, Mac. So I won 4 in a row, right?
You won the first 4, and then Josh Berry won, and then I won the next 4.
So Mac, you are due for 4 straight wins with your drivers. So we
It's
just
possible.
we just ended the great trio of races. Where are we next?
We're off this week for Easter, and
Okay.
then April 27th in Talladega.
All right. So a wild card race there, kind of. Who knows? But yeah. So is this a built-in every year week off? I
I
guess.
feel like they always take off for either Easter or Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Any
that's
any
tradition.
any storylines, Mac, coming out of NASCAR? Anything making headlines?
I haven't really seen anything. There's some stuff going on in the courts with the 2311 team and NASCAR talking back and forth in the media, but no, I think it's been a pretty interesting year. But there's a lot of driving left, a lot of miles to go.
Mac, what was the deal with the tires this weekend? Because they talked about Saturday, the tear on the tires were terrible,
Yeah.
and then Sunday it was warmer, and the tires were fine. They went like 100 laps with no pits.
Yeah, and it was all about the track taking the rubber, and there wasn't any rubber down on Saturday, and they thought they were going to have a big problem. It's one thing for tires to wear, but it's another thing for them to give up totally. But once the rubber got down, the tires were great. They didn't have a lot of wear at all. Matter of fact, they didn't have enough wear to be honest, because the lap times. Blaney was out there running at the end of a segment where he was running within 2/10 of the guys who had come in and changed tires. So we really didn't get enough tire wear. Tire wear is the answer to good racing. But you don't want to have a tire wear problem where they actually give up. So we had a good Sunday thanks to thanks to the weather.
Mack McCarthy joining us. Mac, real quick before we let you go, last Tuesday night, ECU lost to NC State. Cliff Godwin after the game talked about the lack of buy-in, and he is a Pirate. He wants guys to embrace being Pirates and bleed the purple and gold and all that, and it just seems like it's getting tougher and tougher to find that type of player in sports these days. I'm wondering, over your career, like, did you see it dwindle as you went along in your career? I mean, I think about when you were here and guys like Sam Hennett. I love Sam because he was a 4-year guy. He's talked about how much he loved East Carolina, but it's almost like few and far between because everybody's looking out for themselves. Everybody, wants what's the best for them, and sometimes that doesn't align with what's best with your team and your school. So have you seen that kind of school pride stuff dwindle over the decades?
It has, and I think there are a lot of reasons for it. But I will say this: the college sports industry is no different than anything else. Think how much your business has changed. Think how much radio. Think how much newspaper. Think how much television. Think how much all these other industries have changed, and college athletics has changed along with them. Some things for the better, some things for the worse, and the fact that kids aren't as loyal and that kind of thing, it shouldn't be real surprising. But again, when you have coaches that overcome, and Coach Godwin's got a lot of equity. He can say what he thinks, and he's done such a good job for such a long time, and continues to understand the challenges that he's going to face. But and when you win, like East Carolina baseball has for so much, some of these things were still in existence then. It isn't like this is brand new, but all of a sudden, if you lose,
Yeah.
they become a problem. Things that were problems weren't problems when you were winning are problems when you're losing, and I think we're seeing a little bit of that not only in East Carolina baseball, but in other schools and other sports too. Look at
Yeah.
Carolina basketball, for instance.
Yeah. The whole family aspect of it doesn't feel like it is that way anymore. Mac, good stuff, man. Enjoyed the chat as always. Appreciate it, and we'll check in with you again next week. Enjoyed the hockey and the NBA this week.
Yeah, I will, and hopefully you enjoy your week off with your big lead. But hey, Jarrett and I are coming for you.
All right. Well, at least one of you. See you, Mac.
That's true.